By the time Andre Bell was arrested for breaking into his own house, somebody else already had his name. They had his address. They had his bank account, his employment history, his driver's license. They had his mother's death certificate. They even had his wife. Every document matched. Every signature passed. Every photograph showed the same man. Just wasn't Andre. He sat handcuffed in the back of a patrol car while strangers carried furniture through his front door. A little boy watched from Andre's bedroom window. Behind him, someone lifted Andre's wedding portrait from the wall and dropped it into a bin. Andre kicked the divider. "That's my house." The police officer barely looked up. "You're making this worse on yourself." "Ask my wife," Andre said. "We did," said the officer. Andre froze. The officer checked the computer. For half a second, his expression changed. "Your wife said..." The screen refreshed. The officer went quiet. He read it again, then looked at Andre like he'd become something else. "You don't have a wife." 48 hours earlier, Andre had opened an email about an ancestry test he took. Simone stood behind him, her arms around his shoulders. There was no map. There was no percentages, no distant cousins. Only 3 words. No ancestors found. Andre refreshed the page. Same result returned. Simone leaned in closer. "That's impossible." "Bad sample," Andre said. "They'd say that." A new line appeared. "A representative will contact you." His phone rang almost immediately. "Unknown number." Andre answered. "Mr. Bell." The voice was calm, professional. "My name is Graham Harlow. I'm calling regarding the sample attached to your account." Andre put him on speaker. Andre told him instantly, "My result says I have no ancestors." "That's correct," said Mr. Graham. "No, it isn't." "I understand why you would say that, Andre. Everybody comes from somebody." "Yes." Andre waited. Graham said nothing else. "So your test failed, Andre. The sample was processed 3 times. So it's not my test," said Andre. "It is," replied Mr. Harlow. "How do you know?" said Andre. "You submitted it," said Mr. Harlow. "That proves I mailed you something." "It's insufficient for our purposes," said Mr. Harlow. Simone moved closer to the phone. "What purposes?" There was a pause. Graham said Mr. Bell should review the agreement accepted when the kit was activated. "The terms and conditions?" asked Andre. "Yes." "Nobody reads those," he said. "That does not invalidate them," said Mr. Graham. "What exactly did I agree to?" "You authorized the collection, verification, correction, transfer, and reassignment of information associated with the submitted material." "Reassignment?" "The language is available in your agreement." "What information?" "All associated information," said Mr. Graham. "That doesn't mean anything," said Andre. "It means precisely what it says." Andre felt Simone's hand leave his shoulders. "I want my sample destroyed." "That option is no longer available," said Mr. Graham. "Why?" "Your account has already been processed." The call ended. Andre called back. The number was no longer in service. They found the agreement on the company website. 43 pages. Andre searched reassignment. One result. Associated information may include familial, residential, financial, occupational, legal, historical, and interpersonal records. Simone read it twice. Why does the DNA company need to access our marriage? It doesn't, said Andre. It says interpersonal, Simone said. It's legal garbage. Simone said, why did that man tell you to read it? Andre closed the page. Because their test screwed up. He said it with enough confidence that Simone stopped arguing. By morning, it almost felt stupid. A defective test. A strange employee. An agreement written broadly enough to protect the company from anything. Simone kissed Andre before work. Call them again, she said. I will. And don't let them talk around you. You think everybody talk around me, Andre said. They do, she said, and they smiled. He watched her close the front door. Work was normal. His badge opened the building. His co-workers knew him. His supervisor knew him so well he asked him to stay late on Thursday. Andre said no. His wife had an appointment. At 5:40, Andre pulled into his driveway. The porch light was off. The host was silent. Her purse was gone. Her shoes were gone. Her side of the closet was empty. Not cleared out. Empty. There was no spare hangers, no space where clothes would have been. In the bathroom, there was only one toothbrush, one towel, one bottle of shampoo. Andre called her. The number had never even been assigned. Her contact was gone. Their message thread was gone. He opened his photographs. At his birthday dinner, Andre sat alone beside an empty chair. At the coast, he stood alone by the water. At Christmas, he smiled alone in front of the tree. Every place remained, but only Simone was missing. He called her sister Marcy. She answered. He said, it's Andre. Marcy said, who? She said, Simone's husband. Marcy said, I don't know anyone named Simone. Andre said, she's your sister. Marcy said, I don't have a sister. He said, you were at our wedding. She said, I think you got the wrong number. And the line disconnected. Andre ran to the hallway where the wedding portrait still hung. The photograph showed Andre standing outside the church in the rain, alone. One hand rested away from his body, curved around someone who was no longer there. He pulled the frame down. On the back in Simone's handwriting, best day of our lives. That's proof. So Andre took a photograph. On his phone, the backing was blank. He looked at the frame. The words were still there. He called his neighbor. Mrs. Dwyer answered. It's Andre from across the street. Oh, yes, she said. You know Simone. She said, your wife? Andre nearly collapsed. Yes. She said, I saw her this morning, and I waved at her when she left. Can you tell the police, Andre said. The police? Yes, she's missing. Oh, my God, said Mrs. Dwyer. Then came a faint electronic chime. Mrs. Dwyer stopped speaking. Mrs. Dwyer, Andre said. I'm sorry, what? She said. I must be confused. You just said you saw her. I don't know anyone named Simone, Mrs. Dwyer said. You said she waved. Mrs. Dwyer said, I think you should stop calling me. And the line went dead. Andre looked at the frame. The word hour vanished while he watched. No fading, no smearing. There 1 second, gone the next. The message now read, best day of my life. Andre dropped it. His phone lit up. The Ancestry application had reinstalled itself. A notification filled the screen. Association information updated. Andre didn't call the police first. He called every person who had ever known Simone. Her employer, her dentist, the restaurant where they held their wedding dinner, the church where they were married. Nobody had heard of her. The church had no record of their ceremony. The restaurant had no reservation under any other name. Her employer said no Simone Bell had ever worked there. Andre opened up his banking app. 3 years of mortgage payments, utilities, groceries, restaurant bills. Everything they had paid together was there. Only Simone's name had been removed. The joint account was now his. The transfer she sent him every pay came from Anaconda Genetic Services. Andre stared at it. He searched older deposits. Every payment from Simone had changed. Her birthday, half of the mortgage, $40 she sent him after losing a bet. It all came from Anaconda Genetic Services. Andre took screenshots. When he opened them, the deposit showed his own name. He drove to work. His badge flashed red. He tried again. Denied. A woman leaving the building stopped. Andre? He almost grabbed her. Tasha, thank God. What are you doing out here? My badge won't work. She laughed. You probably broke it again. You know me, Andre said. Of course I know you. Andre pulled out his phone. Tell me where I work. She looked at him strangely. Here. What department? He said. Claims, Andre. How long? He said. 6 years. The front door chimed. Tasha glanced toward the security desk. Her smile disappeared. Andre saw it happen. No doubt. Removal. Tasha stepped away from him. Sorry. What? Said Andre. Do we know each other? Said Tasha. You just said my name. I read it on your badge. My badge doesn't have any name on the front. Tasha looked down. The card hanging from Andre's neck had changed. The company logo was gone, but in its place was a black serpent. Below it, Anaconda Genetic Services participant. Tasha backed through the doors. Security came outside. Andre left before they could touch him. He drove straight to the bank. The woman at the desk asked for identification. Andre handed his license. She scanned it. That account isn't in your name. It was this morning, he said. Do you have another piece of ID? The lady at the counter said. He gave her his health card. She scanned that too. Her screen flickered. Sir, this card has been reported invalid. By who? Andre said. There isn't a name attached to it, the lady said. That's my name right there. She turned the card around. The photograph was Andre. The date of birth was his. The address was his. But the name field was blank. Andre snatched it back. I need to see my account history. I can't release information belonging to another customer, she said. It's my money, Andre yelled. The woman looked at the monitor. Your recent deposits came from Anaconda Genetic Services. I've never worked for them, said Andre. She said the records show that you have. Well, what do they say I do? Andre asked. She scrolled and then stopped. There isn't a position listed. Then why are they paying me? Andre yelled. I can't answer that, she said. Can you freeze the account? He asked. She said this isn't your account. Andre leaned across the desk and whispered, Then whose is it? I can't release information belonging to another customer, she said. The exact wording made his stomach turn. He drove home. There was a moving truck in the driveway. A woman stood on the porch holding Andre's house keys. Two children chased each other through the yard. Andre got out of the car. "What are you all doing here?" The woman frowned. "Can I help you, sir?" Andre said, "This is my house." She said, "No, it's not." Andre pushed past her. She screamed. Inside, the furniture was different. Different couch, different photographs, different smell. But the scratches Andre made while moving his dining table were still on the floor. He dropped to his knees. "There." The woman stayed near the door. "What?" "I did that," Andre said. Her husband came down the stairs. "Get out of my house." Andre pointed toward the hallway. There was a wedding picture right there. The nail remained there still. A pale square marked the paint. The husband checked his phone. "We lived here for 3 years," Andre said. "No," said the strangers. He showed Andre insurance documents, property tax statements, a mortgage agreement, all 3 years old. Andre recognized the lawyer's name. It was the same lawyer who handled his purchase. The front page listed another couple. The final page had Andre's signature. Only the name beneath it was different. Police arrived before Andre could explain. Mrs. Dwyer stood on her porch watching. Andre pointed at her. "She knows me." An officer crossed the street. Mrs. Dwyer spoke to him quietly. For a moment she looked toward Andre. Recognition returned to her face. She walked closer. "His wife is missing," Andre almost cried. "Yes." Mrs. Dwyer looked at the officers. "Her name is Simone. I saw her yesterday." One officer opened the computer in his cruiser. "What was the wife's last name?" "Bell," Andre said. The officer typed it. The screen refreshed. Mrs. Dwyer blinked. She looked at Andre, then at the house. "I'm sorry." Andre stepped toward her. "No." "Why are you saying that?" "I don't know this man," Mrs. Dwyer said. "You saw Simone," Andre said. Mrs. Dwyer said she didn't know anyone named Simone. "You remembered her 10 seconds ago," Andre said. The officer put a hand against Andre's chest. "Let's back up there, buddy." Andre pointed at the computer. "It changed." "What changed?" said the police officer. "You heard her," Andre said. The officer checked the screen again. "There is no Simone Bell connected with this address." "She was my wife," said Andre. The officer began to answer. "Your wife." His computer chimed. He stopped. He corrected himself. "You don't have a wife." Andre looked at Mrs. Dwyer. He looked at the family inside of his house. At the signature that was his and the name that was not. The officer searched his license, then his health card, then his fingerprints. Nothing returned. The officer grabbed him and leaned close. "Who are you?" "My name is Andre Bell." "That name belongs to someone else." "No, it belongs to me," Andre said. "Then prove it," said the cop. Andre held out both hands. "What do you think I've been trying to do?" They arrested him for breaking and entering. At the station, they removed his belt, his shoelaces, and the serpent badge. A booking officer rolled Andre's fingerprints across the scanner. The machine rejected every print. He tried again. There was no match. The officer looked at him. "You've been arrested before?" "Yes," said Andre. "For what?" Andre told him. The officer searched. There was no record of it. The police officer said if you continue withholding your identity, you could be charged. I'm not withholding anything, said Andre. You gave us a name that belongs to another person. Andre laughed, but it came out wrong. Call Anaconda, he said. The officer typed the name into the system and the result appeared immediately. The Ancestry Company? Yes, said Andre. What do they have to do with this? Andre said they took my life. The officer stared at him for a long moment. Then the interview room door opened. Graham Harlow walked in carrying a black folder. Andre stood so fast the chair struck the wall. You. Graham placed the folder on the table. The officer looked between them. You know him? Graham sat across from Andre. Yes. The officer relaxed. Are you his lawyer? Andre looked at Graham. Graham opened the folder. No. Andre's hands curled into fists. I never hired no lawyer. Graham looked up. Good. He turned the first page. I'm not a lawyer. Graham opened the folder. Andre's name was printed across the top. It was the first place he had seen it all day. Where is my wife? Said Andre. Graham looked down at the page. You don't have a wife, Mr. Bell. Stop saying that, said Andre. The records are clear, said Graham. The records are wrong, said Andre. No. Andre leaned across the table. My house is gone. My job is gone. My bank account is gone. People remember me. Then they don't. You did this. Graham Harlow said your account was processed. That's not an answer, said Andre. He pointed at the folder. What's in there? It's information associated with your sample, said Graham Harlow. My information? Previously. Andre went still. What does that mean? Andre asked. The records have been reassigned. To who? I cannot disclose information belonging to other participants. So my wife belongs to another participant? Asked Andre. You don't have a wife, Mr. Bell. Andre struck the table. The folder jumped beneath Graham's hands. The officer outside the room looked through the glass. Graham didn't react. Her name was Simone Bell, said Andre. There is no verified person by that name associated with you, said Mr. Graham. She existed. That could not be confirmed. But I remember her, said Andre. Personal recollection is not a verified record, said Mr. Harlow. Andre stared at him. He looked at the smeared ink on his forearm. He had written Simone's name there after she disappeared. Only the first 3 letters remained. S-I-M. He traced them with his thumb. What color were her eyes? Graham said nothing. Andre closed his own eyes. Brown. No, green. He saw sunlight on her face and then the image collapsed. He opened his eyes again. You're doing something to my memory. We are correcting associated information, said Graham Harlow. My memory is not information, said Andre. For our purposes, there are no distinctions. Andre stood. The officer opened the door. Graham raised one hand. He's not a threat. Andre laughed. You took every part of my life and I'm not a threat? You granted us access, Mr. Bell. To my DNA? No. To all associated information, Mr. Bell. My wife is not information, said Andre. She was associated with the account. Andre stepped toward him. The officer moved between them. Graham closed the folder. He looked at the black serpent printed on the front. "You knew nobody would read the terms," said Andre. "The terms were available the entire time," said Graham Harlow. "They were 43 pages. Correct. Nobody reads that. That does not invalidate them, Mr. Bell. You hid this inside an ancestry test? We disclosed the process. You said you would show me where I came from. We did, Mr. Bell." Andre's voice dropped. "You said I came from nowhere." "No." Graham looked at him directly. "We said no ancestral source could be found." "What's the difference?" asked Andre. "The first is a conclusion." Graham tapped the folder. "The second is a result." Andre stopped. Graham stood. The result created a conflict. "With what?" asked Andre. "Everything associated with you, Mr. Bell." Andre looked toward the officer. The officer was watching Graham now, not Andre. For 1 second, Andre thought he saw concern in the man's face. Then the other officer's radio chimed. His expression emptied. He stepped back. Graham handed him a form. "Mr. Bell is being released." The officer read it. "Released under what identity?" "John Doe is sufficient," said Graham Harlow. They returned Andre's clothes in a clear plastic bag. His wallet was empty. No license, no bank card, no photograph of Simone. His keys were gone. The release form had no name. Andre signed it anyway. Outside, rain had begun. A white van waited at the curb with a black serpent printed on the door. Graham opened the passenger side. "Where are you taking me?" said Andre. "To a temporary accommodation," said Graham. "I'm not getting in." "That's your choice." "Where am I supposed to go?" asked Andre. "You're not required to go anywhere." "I have no money." Graham said nothing. "No house, no family." Andre stepped close to him. "I want my life back." "The records no longer belong to your account," said Graham. "Whose account are they in?" "I cannot disclose information belonging to other participants." Andre looked through the windshield. A black folder rested on the passenger seat. His folder. Beneath it was another, and another, a stack of them. "How many people have you done this to?" asked Andre. Graham closed the door. "That information is not associated with your account." He got into the van and drove away. Andre walked. He went to the church where him and Simone had got married. The church was gone. A parking garage stood in its place. He found the restaurant where they held their wedding dinner. The windows were boarded. A sign said it had been vacant for 11 years. At the cemetery, he searched for his mother's grave. 4th row, 7 stones down. Only grass was there. Andre stood beneath the maple tree and tried to remember her first name. Nothing came. He tried Simone again. Her laugh, her voice, her eyes. All the memories gone. He looked at his arm. The letters had faded and only one remained. S. His phone vibrated. He had not realized the police returned it. The ancestry application filled the screen. Final review appointment. No address, no time, only a date. The date was tomorrow. Andre held down the power button. The phone had shut off. He smashed it against a gravestone and the screen cracked. The message remained. He threw it into a storm drain. At an ATM across the street, the advertisement on it vanished. The screen turned white. Your appointment is tomorrow. Andre backed away. The message disappeared. A bus pulled to the curb. Its destination display changed. Your appointment is tomorrow. Then returned to Route 12. Andre ran. He passed a pharmacy. The receipt printer near the register began feeding paper onto the floor. A cashier tore it off and stared at it. Andre saw the words from the outside. Your appointment is tomorrow. Every screen he passed changed. A restaurant menu, a parking meter, a television in an apartment window, each one only for a second, each one long enough. Andre reached a crowded intersection. He stopped beneath a digital billboard. Nothing changed. Cars moved. People crossed. Nobody looked at him. For the first time all day, the world appeared normal. A little girl stood beside him, holding her mother's hand. She looked up at the bus sign, and then at Andre. "Mister," the little girl said. Andre turned and smiled and said, "Yes, sweetheart." She said, "Your appointment is tomorrow." And then her mother pulled her forward. The girl crossed the street. Andre looked at the sign. It showed only arrival times. He opened his mouth. "My name is..." Nothing came out. He tried again. The sound wouldn't form. Across the intersection, the billboard changed. The serpent curled into a black circle. Beneath it, final review confirmed. Andre looked down at his hand. For the first time, that didn't feel like his. And he looked up, and the billboard changed again. Your appointment is tomorrow. Sleep tight, or don't. Thank you for listening. 12. Andre ran. He passed a pharmacy. The receipt printer near the register began feeding paper onto the floor. A cashier tore it off and stared at it. Andre saw the words from the outside. Your appointment is tomorrow. Every screen he passed changed. A restaurant menu, a parking meter, a television in an apartment window, each one only for a second, each one long enough. Andre reached a crowded intersection. He stopped beneath a digital billboard. Nothing changed. Cars moved. People crossed. Nobody looked at him. For the first time all day, the world appeared normal. A little girl stood beside him, holding her mother's hand. She looked up at the bus sign, and then at Andre. "Mister," the little girl said. Andre turned and smiled and said, "Yes, sweetheart." She said, "Your appointment is tomorrow." And then her mother pulled her forward. The girl crossed the street. Andre looked at the sign. It showed only arrival times. He opened his mouth. "My name is..." Nothing came out. He tried again. The sound wouldn't form. Across the intersection, the billboard changed. The serpent curled into a black circle. Beneath it, final review confirmed. Andre looked down at his hand. For the first time, that didn't feel like his. And he looked up, and the billboard changed again. Your appointment is tomorrow. Sleep tight, or don't. Thank you for listening.